Coming up next on Making Moves, find out what a new economic report says about JTA's impact on the region. The authority says goodbye to a longtime board member. The stadium shuttle goes all in for its 18th consecutive season, and it's a decade of accomplishments as the Michael Blaylock era nears the end at JTA. I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. Stay tuned for those stories and much more next on Making Moves. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Making Moves. Alongside JTA Executive Director and CEO Michael Blaylock, I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. We'll have more with Michael in just a few moments, but first, our top story. JTA is known primarily for its transit services and its road and bridge building. So it's likely if you ask someone about the economic impact the JTA plays in our community, you would probably get a confused look or maybe a shrug. But when a team of economists from UNF's Center of Economic Research looked at that very subject, the results were astounding. What they found was that JTA plays more of a vital role in this community than ever imagined. We get more now from Making Moves' Terry Casey.
It turns out there's a lot more to JTA than those buses, bridges, and roads the agency is known for. A lot more. It's laid out in the pages of this just-released report examining JTA's economic impact over a 10-year period ending in 2011.
At the heart of the study is the economic impacts that JTA provides through its spending on capital investments and operations.
Dr. Chris Johnson was part of the team at the University of North Florida's Center for Economic Research that put it all together. Some key findings? How about 3,000 jobs a year to start things off?
The 3,000 jobs include jobs that are supported by JTA's spending with other companies. So JTA purchases materials and supplies from contractors, and those contractors then hire workers that are supported by JTA's activity.
That translates to paychecks, labor income, and it's a lot.
About $1 billion in wages is generated for these 3,000 plus workers per year. This amounts to about $34,000 per worker. To put that in some context, the median income per worker in Jacksonville is about $28,000.
How about $2 billion? That's what area businesses pulled in sales and revenues over 10 years.
The $2 billion in sales represents the revenues that the firms who are connected to the activity that JTA creates benefit or derive. And so these are going to include businesses or firms in the construction industry, as well as the service and retail industries, and any type of industries where workers then will ultimately spend their money.
The study says if you commute, you can save big by taking JTA instead of a car, cab, or even carpooling. Findings put the savings there at $6.5 million a year. Now, you wouldn't pocket that much, but still.
The savings that we estimate is that the workers, in terms of maintenance costs and operational costs of an automobile, save about $1,000 per year in terms of in using public transit instead of automobiles.
Another finding says public transportation serves an important function when it comes to connecting workers with jobs and helping employers fill jobs, which avoids potential lost wages and economic disruption. JTA's annual budget is about $105 million. What do you get for that? Well, projects like the Kernan Overpass behind me there. Thousands of jobs created and benefits from an economic impact that reach into the hundreds of millions of dollars.
The overarching goal of the study is to demonstrate that JTA has a significant impact on the community in terms of improving the economic outcomes of businesses and households.
If JTA takes the same spending philosophy into the future, Johnson says the same type of economic impacts will result, attracting more businesses and more residents.
And the need for continuously improving the traffic system and the public transit system will be there, and those things are going to continue to provide economic benefits to the local community.
In Jacksonville, Terry Casey for Making Moves.
Now let's bring in JTA Executive Director and CEO Michael Blaylock. Okay, Michael, 3,000 jobs a year sustained over a 10-year period, $1 billion in wage and labor income, then a $2 billion financial impact over this whole period. That is astounding. And what did you think when you first heard about this report?
Well, I knew it all along.
Oh, you knew it all along. Of course you did. Of course you did.
Joyce, really, quite frankly, you know, this whole idea of the influence and the impact of transportation, what transportation brings to an economy is phenomenal. And it's just a testament of how important it is for us to keep moving and keeping our infrastructure moving, keeping public transportation operating. So yes, it's a huge story to recognize that you've got some 3,000 jobs that you're supporting within this past 10 years, and generating an income base of $1 billion. That's quite a phenomenon.
It really is, and you know, since this report is saying that JTA does play such a vital role in our community, what do you think people will start to see from all of this, and do you really want them to sit up and take notice?
Yeah, I think, Joyce, I think the reality of it is that when people are driving along the roadway, they don't really think about who built that road, whether it was the Florida Department of Transportation or the city or JTA. It's just a matter of trying to get to my next destination. And when they're riding our transit system, they're not really thinking about what it really means that if I didn't have this transportation system, I mean, how could I get to work? So what the report substantiates is just how important it is to have a good mobility system. So a good transit system that can get you to where you need to go when you need to go. So I think it just validates the importance of what JTA brings to this community.
And you know, one of the other things about it is when you think about it, it's what you said. We really don't think about who built that road, but we take that for granted.
Yeah,
every day.
Yeah, and I think it just because that's just the way it is.
It is.
I think the port has done a great job when the port decided that they really want to go after the global market. They saw the necessity for the community to really understand what the port does. And the Aviation Authority, they've done the same thing in terms of telling their story about the economic impact they bring to the community. And so I think this is just a move for the authority to do a better job of communicating to the public in terms of what value that Transportation Authority brings to this community.
And you know what, thinking of value and staying in that same vein, when we talk about wages, I think it listed $34,000 per year per worker. That's another phenomenal thing, especially when you're saying that that's about $6,000 more than the medium wage in Jacksonville.
And then that speaks also, Joyce, to the caliber of people who are riding our system. So it's not just your low wage earners. I mean, you've got people who wear suits and carry a briefcase, and you've got people who all degrees of different vocations and stuff in terms of they're making anywhere from $20,000 a year to $50,000 to $60,000 to $70,000 a year. So that's the caliber of people that's utilizing the system. And so if this system was not available to them, and that's another interesting thing that came out in the report, is that if we did not have public transportation, that could be a loss of some $41 million in wages in terms of those persons not having access to transportation to those jobs.
Okay. Well, there's actually more to this story. As part of its final report, the team from the Center for Economic Research not only looked at the past 10 years, they also looked into the future, specifically at one of JTA's proposed construction projects. The team wanted to determine what impact it would have if the authority moved forward with its plan. That project, the reconstruction of the interchange at JTB and I-95, what the group found was the benefits to the local community far outweighed the overall cost of the project. You don't need a crystal ball to see that something else is needed in the future when it comes to dealing with the gridlock at the intersection of J. Turner Butler Boulevard and Interstate 95. Commuters who use this area quite often experience the problems firsthand.
I'm seeing a lot of congestion, a lot of people having to switch lanes in order to get off on their stop as far as the South Park area or to enter the 95 connector here.
I mean, I don't have to worry every second that I'm on the roadway that I'm going to be, be put in a situation where there could be, a serious accident.
Hope is on the way. JTA engineers are in the final design phase of a $120 million project that would reconfigure the look of this busy and sometimes dangerous intersection.
The ultimate plan is to remove the exit traffic from 95 and JTB and have basically 4 what we call flyover structures that puts the JTB westbound traffic getting on 95 at the elevated section, directly put that traffic on 95 without that interface with the local JTB traffic.
Those flyovers would make it easier and quicker to navigate in this area. And the best news about this proposed plan is that the local economists see this as a great investment in the future because it's expected to yield high returns over the construction period planned between 2015 and 2018.
We find that the $120 million investment in the JTB expansion will result in an increase of $66 million in wages to workers and $170 million in business revenues.
We talked with some people who work in this area around Interstate 95 and JTB. Most of us told us that they believe the future plans for this design, complete with the flyover, will have a significant impact, not only in reducing time that they spend driving, but also reducing accidents.
When you reduce the traffic, then there's less compacted vehicles, and which ultimately minimizes the number of accidents.
I think that would really be very beneficial to people that are leaving from their job and they're trying to get to 95 and go home versus having to come straight down this end and connect from Phillips Highway.
The report goes a step further, though. Economists also say if more people decided to use public transportation, the impact of this future project would be even greater. We are back with Michael Blaylock. You know, Mr. Blaylock, typically most people simply do not think about the overall financial benefits of a project, especially when you're talking about millions and millions of dollars that have to be put into each of these projects. So what would you like our viewers to really take away from all of this?
Well, you know, one thought, Joyce, is the recognition that for every dollar that you're spending out of your gas tax or your sales tax, which is the two primary sources that fund, you know, these projects, you're getting a $3 return on that investment. And so that's the first point. The other point is that as we make the improvements in terms of being able to push more people into public transit and thus reduce the congestion on the roadways, we're also, as we expand and improve the intersections and add lanes to the different corridors, we're improving the safety of those facilities. And I give you an example. An example would be Atlantic in Kernan, Atlantic Boulevard in Kernan Road, where there was a long sought debate about whether we should put a overpass versus an at-grade solution. And Atlantic and Kernan was listed as the highest intersection for accidents. And today, since that project has been completed, I mean, we've had little or no accidents at that intersection.
How much different is it from the first design that was presented about 2 years ago?
Well, kind of where we are, this has sort of been a moving target because where we are now, within the next 18 months, we should be at another level of final design. The next step, of course, would be to get to final design. And then we have some right-of-way that we need to acquire. So what we're really trying to do, we are in discussions with the Florida Department of Transportation to see how we might be able to advance this project much further along the way. And so those discussions will continue. But I think the good news is I think everybody is interested in cleaning up that intersection and improving that bottleneck there. So, I mean, you got commitment at the table, and that's a good start.
That is a great start, and a lot of people talk about being shovel ready, so that's where you're trying to get this project, or is it there?
Yeah, no, we're trying to get it to shovel ready. It's not quite there yet, but that's what we're trying to do, and that's sort of been the legacy of the agency. We've always tried to keep projects in the pipeline, so when money comes available, then we're ready to go.
You're watching JTA Making Moves, honored by the American Public Transportation Association with its 2011 AdWheel Award.
There's never been a better time to take a ride on the downtown Riverside Trolley. The trolley is free to ride all September long. Plus, just for riding, you can get great deals at dozens of local stores and restaurants. Just pick up your sticker on the trolley and show it at any of our participating merchants to get a great deal. Whether you're headed to 5 Points or downtown or somewhere in between, the trolley's not only fun, it's free. So come on, join us on the downtown Riverside Trolley. Ride for free, then save a bundle at any of our participating merchants. Find a store listing online at jtafla.com. There's no better place to be on game day than Everbank Field watching your hometown Jaguars. And there's no better way to get to the stadium than on the JTA Stadium Shuttle. Single game tickets start at just $7. Buy your tickets online at jtafla.com, at the JTA Admin Building downtown, or at any JTA Stadium Shuttle line. The JTA Stadium Shuttle. We've been all in for 18 consecutive years.
Welcome back to Making Moves. Residents who live near the intersection of Soutel Drive and Ribault Avenue say that speeding cars and poor visibility make for a dangerous combination. So, at the request of Councilman Reggie Brown, the JTA is helping the city make some upgrades that should help make it just a little safer. This blinking yellow light, which residents say does very little to slow down traffic here, will be replaced with the traditional red, yellow, green traffic light. The new light will force vehicles to come to a complete stop and will also create gaps in the traffic that will allow residents at a nearby senior citizens complex more time to cross the street. New transit shelters and improvements to the sidewalks and ramps are also part of this project. Some great news for Skyway riders. The JTA Board of Directors has approved a plan to extend free rides on the Skyway for another full year. Ridership on the Skyway has been free since February 1st of this year. Now you'll be able to ride the trains for free until September 30th of 2013. Ridership on the Skyway has nearly doubled since JTA opened the gates and now averages around 80,000 trips per month. The board also gave the okay to install new escalators at both the Hemming Plaza and Rosa Parks stations. The JTA has teamed up with dozens of retailers in downtown and 5 Points to offer discounts to Riverside Trolley riders. The trolley runs through the financial district on Riverside Avenue and into historic 5 Points, as well as portions of downtown. Anyone who rides will get a sticker, good for discounts at participating merchants. If you want to see a list of all the participating merchants, just click the rotating link on the JTA homepage. The list is constantly changing, so you'll want to be checking back often. Remember, the more you ride, the more discounts you can get. But this deal gets even better. To kick off the promotion, the JTA is also offering free rides on the trolley throughout the month of September. Well, everybody knows that the Jacksonville Jaguars kicked off their 18th season in the NFL this month, and the JTA Stadium Shuttle was all in. Hundreds of thousands of football fans have used the convenient shuttle service to get them to and from the stadium for each home Jaguars game since the team's first season back in 1995. There are 2 downtown and 4 suburban shuttle locations to choose from. Ticket prices range from $7 to $12 per person. The shuttles run 2 hours before kickoff until 1 hour after the game. Now, shuttles also run continuously throughout the game to the shuttle's convention center location. Well, former JTA board chairman Cleve was honored at the agency's August board meeting for his years of dedicated service to the authority. Warren served on the board since 2003 and was its chairman for 2 of those years. Warren was presented with a clock by the staff and received a standing ovation for his tireless dedication to JTA. Mayor Alvin Brown has named NAACP President Isaiah Rumlin to succeed Warren. Michael Blaylock has worked at the Jacksonville Transportation Authority for 30 years, including the last 10 as its executive director and CEO. But as he announced here a few months ago, Mr. Blaylock is retiring to pursue a new interest as a new grandfather. But before we let him walk into his retirement, Making Moves' Bill Milnes takes a special look back at some of JTA's highlights during the Michael Blaylock era.
In the year 2000, Duval County voters approved the Better Jacksonville plan. The JTA would be asked to play a vital role in the BJP, building roads and bridges throughout the county. During his tenure as CEO, Michael Blaylock and the JTA forged ahead with projects totaling nearly $1 billion. Projects like the Regency Flyover, Atlantic and Kernan Overpass, and the new Beach Boulevard Bridge were just a few of the 31 BJP projects completed by the authority during the Blaylock era. Perhaps even more impressive is that the JTA managed those projects to within 1.25% of the total original contract amount. Since 2001, when many other transit agencies across the country saw ridership plummet, passenger boardings on JTA increased by 35%, thanks in part to two niche market services created by Michael Blaylock, the Riverside and Beaches trolleys, and the Community Shuttle service. One long underserved market for JTA was area college students. With the introduction of its College Pass program in 2008, student ridership has exploded, and now 3 local colleges are JTA College Pass partners. One bone of contention for JTA customers had long been the lack of bus shelters, so Blaylock made it a priority, and since 2002, there has been a 400% increase in shelter installations throughout the city, a true benefit to JTA passengers. In February 2005, when Super Bowl 39 came to Jacksonville, it would become the ultimate showcase for our city, and the Blaylock-led JTA never shined so bright. With the design and installation of the signature lighting of the Main Street, Fuller Warren, and Hart bridges, the St. Johns River became a focal point for America's greatest sporting event. And with the world watching, the agency not only turned our downtown bridges into visually stimulating showpieces, it planned and executed its master transportation plan to perfection, performing more than 400,000 Skyway and Super Shuttle boardings in just 4 days. So successful was the JTA plan, it has been used as a template for other Super Bowl cities. Phase 1 of the agency's first transit-oriented development project came to fruition during the Blaylock era. 2 Hilton brand hotels are now located adjacent to the Kings Avenue Skyway station and parking facility, generating hundreds of thousands of additional dollars for the agency. Understanding that it takes world-class customer service to be a world-class organization, Blaylock initiated an annual customer satisfaction survey to rate how the agency is performing. Embracing technology was far from a priority before Michael Blaylock took office. Over the last 10 years, JTA has introduced a new smart card fare payment system, onboard security cameras, and jumped into the world of social media as a way to better connect with its customers. 5 years ago, Blaylock was searching for a new and innovative way to inform and educate our community on the JTA, its services, and the critical role the authority plays in the community. At that moment, the Making Moves TV show was born. Making Moves has gone on to garner statewide and national awards and recognition for its programming excellence. These are just some of the accomplishments of the JTA under the guidance of Michael Blaylock. His importance to this organization over these past 30 years, and especially during his 10 years as CEO, cannot be overstated. In Jacksonville, Bill Milnes, JTA Making Moves.
That's amazing. 30 years at JTA, the last 10 as CEO. You know, you have certainly accomplished so much in that time. What are your best memories?
You know, Joyce, a lot of people have asked me that question, and my personal faith is as such that I really can't take credit for really anything. I've just been so honored that I've been given an opportunity to serve in this unique capacity, and as a bag boy from daylight grocery store to all the experiences I've had, and I just have to thank God for using me as a vessel. And that's really what I have seen, that I've seen so much over the 30 years, and I can't help but wonder how did it all happen, and I just can't accept any credit for that. I just believe that this was a divine assignment, and I'm now moving on to another assignment, and so I just do give honor to God for just giving me that kind of opportunity and using me in such a way that to me was a miracle. And so there's, and then there's a lot of people that we've had the opportunity to work with, and you don't do these kinds of jobs by yourself. So I think that there are a lot of people that certainly deserve the credit more than I in terms of the things that we've been able to do.
Yeah, but you were the leader. You were the leader, and there always has to be a leader, no matter what the assignment is. There has to be a leader who has the vision that people can get on board and carry through, and maybe that's what it was. You had that divine leadership capabilities and those qualities. So with all of that being said, what is the biggest challenge for the person who has to come behind you?
Well, I think the good news is that my successor will find a very financially healthy organization and equipped with a lot of talented people. So that person will have a lot of good tools to work with. But I think that the real challenge for my successor and for a lot of us in this United States is how we're going to continue to fund transportation infrastructure. And so our issue, of whether it's a local option gas tax or a sales tax or whatever the case may be, we've already demonstrated in this particular edition of Making Moves how important it is economically for our region that we have a good transportation system. So I think the challenge, of course, is going to be the long-term sustainability of how we can move our transportation initiatives forward.
Now, we're not certain if this is your last show or not at this point, but what are your final thoughts for today?
Well, I tell you, my final thoughts would be, Joyce, is to our viewers and to the employees at the Transportation Authority, yourself, and I would just like to pay tribute to all of the people who made the difference, for this community, the board members, congressional delegation. We have one of the strongest congressional delegations anywhere, and that's another plus for my successor. They're coming in and they're going to be a part of a strong congressional delegation as well as a state delegation. So when you have the likes of Congresswoman Brown, and then your House Transportation Chairman John Michael, and the Crenshaw. I mean, you're talking about some really strong caliber of people who absolutely work well together. So that's a real plus. So I think that when I reflect over the 30 years, I'm going to be thinking about all of the people that have made the difference, the person who decided to hire me, the person who decided to recommend me. So, I mean, it's just a lot. So I think my tribute and my final thought would be to present a collage of the faces that made a difference at the Jacksonville Transportation Authority during my tenure.
And that wraps up this edition of Making Moves. We hope you'll be back with us again real soon. We may get one more show out of this guy. We don't know just yet. But as always, you can stay in touch with us on the web or our Facebook, on our YouTube channel. For Michael Blaylock and the entire Making Moves team, I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. We want to thank him so much for all of his time, for all of his hard work, his dedication, his smile, his wit, his humor, but also his extreme knowledge of transportation in JTA. Make it a great day.